Hello and welcome to the look ahead for Thursday, the 25th of July with me, Fiona Cincotta, Senior Market Analyst at City Index. So in the European session, we'll be watching out for German IFO business climate. Tomorrow, ECB President Christine Lagarde will also be speaking. In the US session, we've got US Q2 GDP as well as jobless claims and durable goods. And as far as earnings are concerned, numbers from AstraZeneca, Lloyds and Anglo-American will be in focus. But let's just start with US Q2 GDP. Expectations are for growth to have ramped up slightly in the second quarter to 2% annualized. That's up from 1.4% annualized. But actually, that's down quite considerably from the 4.9% growth that we saw in Q3 of 2023. So growth is below trend. That's what we'll be looking at. And that's what the Federal Reserve will be hoping for as well. They obviously want to see some slowing in growth in order to sort of see inflationary pressures ease in order to be able to cut interest rates further. Now, obviously, the data comes ahead of Friday's core PCE figures, which are the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge for inflation. But as we head into these results, we've got the Federal Reserve meeting next week. The Fed is not expected to cut rates next week, but the market is pricing in at the moment around 62 basis points worth of cuts this year, with a 95% probability of that first rate cut being in September. So if we see slightly weaker than expected GDP growth, then that could boost rate cut expectations further. Maybe we'll see the market pushing for that third rate cut this year, particularly if we see inflation cool as well. So let's just take a quick look at what all this might mean for the market. First chart we're going to be looking at is US dollar, Japanese yen, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because of the big moves that we've been seeing in this pair. Now, it's really interesting because I think, obviously there is those expectations that the Federal Reserve will start cutting interest rates. There's also expectations that the Bank of Japan could start hiking, could hike interest rates again in the meeting next week. And that's sort of undoing this carry trade that we've been seeing with the weakness in the yen prior to that. So, but I think the other thing that's raising suspicions is, are we seeing another intervention here by the Bank of Japan? Have they changed their tactics? Sorry, not by the Bank of Japan, by Japanese authorities. Have they changed their tactics slightly as far as sort of intervention is concerned? Sort of, really addressing the market when it's at its weakest. So, this is raising some suspicions. Again, we don't really know. But as far as US data is concerned, tomorrow, if we do see that the GDP comes in weaker than expected, then we could see the further weakening in this pair. Level that I'm going to be watching for is down here. It's this low here, the May low, which is at the 151.86, so just below 152. You've also got the 200 SMA there at the 151.60 level. So that's going to be an area of support to watch. We've obviously broken below the 100 SMA already. We've taken out this 155 level, which has been a key level as far as the pair is concerned. So that's the level to be watching on the downside. It's this bearish engulfing candle, which is quite signals, quite a strong signal to sell. Another one that we saw here on the 11th of July, when there were expectations that or questions over whether the Japanese authorities intervened as well. Just watch out here though for oversold territory. Then that could at least cause some consolidation in this pair. And I think it's interesting if we just look at that and compare it to what we're actually seeing in the US dollar, which obviously is much smaller moves. We've seen a much smaller move here. This is the US dollar index. That move is probably most likely strongly related to that sell-off in the gain in the yen it's failed really to rise movingly above the 200 SMA. So the levels we're watching for now on the US dollar index is the 104. A breakdown 104 could bring this level back into focus, which is the July low, and that's the 104.15 level. So that's what I'd be watching on the downside. Obviously, if we do find 104 stands and we get a rise back above that 200 SMA at 104.37, then you'd be watching for a move on the upside towards 105. Then what else are we going to be looking at tomorrow? I think it's always good to have a look at gold when we're looking at what's going on in the US dollar. Hasn't been massive movements here in gold. We obviously saw it fall down to this low here, which was down just below the 2400 level at the start of the week. We have seen that gold is being able to push back higher. That's as we're seeing that US dollar weaken. Here we saw that US dollar strengthen last week, which caused some weakness in gold. As I said, we're looking to see gold push back again. On the upside, watch out for the 2450. That's the May high, before bringing that sort of all-time highs back into focus again. On the downside, the 2388, 2390 level, that was the 2395 level. That's the level to watch. If we can get a breakdown there, then that could really open the door and expose that 100 SMA. Also, just whilst we're looking at the US, we'll take a quick look at what's going on with US stocks. Now, obviously, we've had earnings out today, well, yesterday, in fact, from the Tesla and from Alphabet, and these were actually quite disappointing. So we've seen this sell-off. Obviously, these stocks have been priced for very strong earnings, given their lofty valuations, and we've seen disappointment. So and that's being reflected here in this sell-off. Money's being pulled out of tech. There's just a lot of hype that hasn't really necessarily got the fundamentals to support it right now. Just as much as it's not that these figures, well, Tesla was disappointing, but that's sort of understandable. But Alphabet actually beat earnings and revenue, but there was just some weakness in ad revenue in the YouTube sector, which has caused the sell-off here. And I think it just highlights that the market was really looking for fabulous numbers to support that impressive rally that it's had, and it just didn't get them because everything wasn't spot on. And so we've seen this sell-off in the Nasdaq again, bearish engulfing candle breaking through the 50 SMA. We're below this rising trend line. I'll be watching out for a move towards we're at the sort of 19,000 level. I believe from move towards 19,000, and below that you've got the 100 SMA, and then this level here, which is the 18,500. Now we also talked about Germany, and we've got German FIO businesses climate debt coming in tomorrow. It's expected to improve to 88.5 up from 88.3. We did see some data today from Germany that was very disappointing, and that was the PMI data. PMI data across Europe was really disappointing. We saw the manufacturing sector was contracted at a much faster rate in Germany at 42.6. We saw the composite PMI, which is business activity, contract again after briefly moving into expansion territory. So I think it's showing that the economic recovery in Germany and in Europe is actually very sluggish. So this could encourage the ECB to cut interest rates. We've got the September meeting coming up. But even so, there are concerns over the health of the economy here, and we're just seeing that weakness come down. We've also seen some earnings come through today, which haven't been quite as the market was hoping as far as the banks were concerned. But we're still finding that price is being supported by that rising 100 SMA. It's guiding the price higher. There's a top side up there, which is the July high at 18,750. If we get a break below this 100 SMA, then I would be watching out for this level down here, which is the 18,000. That's sort of a level that was quite important mid-June. It was the low there. If we do find that this 100 SMA holds, then be watching out on the upside for a break above the 17,880 level. And just whilst we're here, we'll also look at Euro US dollar. As I said, we've got Christine Lagarde, who's speaking today. Tomorrow. Obviously, the euro will also be watching the Germany data. We've seen this bounce back, rebound lower from this high that we've seen here in July high of 109.50. And the price has rebounded lower. It's taken out the 109.15. We're looking towards the 200 SMA, where it's really found a bit of support today and seems to have been showing some signs of recovery. So that's around the 108.13 level, that support there. And that's a pretty key level for sellers to need to break below in order to extend losses towards the 107 level. If we're finding that this level holds, then watch out on the upside for the 109.15, which is the June high. So I think that's all we'll be watching today. If you like what you've seen, then please do give this video a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please do subscribe.